Martino on the scene for The Rogers Revue, therogersrevue.com, and 96.7 FM WERA Radio Arlington. We are here at Shore Leave 39 for a wonderful convention, and here with me is one of our regular guests, T.A. Chafin. How are you doing, T.A.?
I'm doing fine, Dean. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. I mean, you've been an author, you've been a sci-fi square. There has been something you've been doing at the conventions, you know?
Honestly, for the first 20 years, I've been coming about 35 years.
35 years, so you've been almost through the whole lot.
Well, for the first few years, I was a little too young.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, and I wasn't living in the area. That had something to do with it.
Yep.
But for about the first 15 years, I simply attended.
Yep.
But for the last 20 years, I got involved with panels and lecturing about Star Wars. And as such, I feel like I'm much more part of the family. There's some privilege involved there. There's a lot of contact between the people who work and build and run the convention, and it just feels like coming back, not to a convention, but for like an annual party with your friends.
Absolutely. So how does one go through just attending a convention to doing something with the convention, in your humble opinion?
The simplest way is to talk to the committee or staff and say, hi, I want to get involved. What can I do? You start out as a helper, or they may say, well, we don't need anybody, but let me put your name on a list and we'll talk to you in the future. Or better yet, have an idea for something you can do at the convention that'll help improve the convention itself. Like, I've got a great idea for a panel. What do you think?
Yeah, especially since normally for the past few years, you've been following my panel, which is the game shows, and you've been talking about Star Wars. So I'd like to let the people know, what did you talk about Star Wars this time around?
Well, this year was the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, and I thought, what would the ultimate Star Wars fan do for the 40th anniversary? And I'm not the ultimate Star Wars fan, but what would the ultimate fan do? So I went to Tunisia during the week of the 40th anniversary, and I visited filming locations. In fact, the joke that I was telling was, I'm going to spend the 40th anniversary waking up in Luke Skywalker's bed, which was the joke. But it turned out that where they filmed Star Wars, the Skywalker home on Tatooine, I actually got the room that Mark Hamill slept in.
Oh, wow.
So I actually woke up in Mark Hamill's, Luke Skywalker's, bed on the 40th anniversary. So I came as close as you can get to actually living out that joke.
That is very close. So since your visit to Tunisia, are there any sets still left over from the original Star Wars trilogy?
Well, as for an actual set, the only actual set left is Mos Espa, which was in episode 1 and episode 2. Covers several acres. It's literally falling apart. They're letting it fall apart. The tourism industry isn't keeping it up. The only other, and this is, I don't know if you call it a set, is that small dome structure on the Skywalker farm, Moisture Farm.
Yeah.
That has been restored several times by fans out of their own pocket.
Oh, wow.
And it's still falling apart because they're only using plywood, chicken wire, and plaster. If they would just use some concrete, that thing would last 20 years.
Yeah.
The way it is now, it may last another 2 or 3.
Excellent. So we know this year is the 40th anniversary, and we know that there's a new Star Wars film coming out at the end of the year. What are your thoughts about the new film coming up?
Well, what a lot of people expected from the last film is, oh my gosh, we're going to see Luke again. And we did for about 30 seconds.
Yep. Well, those were powerful 30 seconds.
They were, but they also, one of the reasons the director did that is he said, as soon as Luke gets on the screen, all the other characters are going to become secondary. Everyone's going to go, well, what's Luke doing? What's Luke doing? It doesn't matter what the other characters are doing.
Yeah.
But he wanted that movie to be more about the new characters. So they made Luke appear at the very end. But he is very much the center of the next film. So it's not all about Luke, but it's going to be a lot about Luke in the next film.
Absolutely. So why has Star Wars been popular 40 years on?
One of my, my reasons might be different than others. For me, I've followed Star Wars for so many years that it's no longer a story in another universe or in a galaxy far, far away. Mm-hmm. It's a story about friends I haven't seen in a long time, who I get to see every few years, but to see what's going on new in their life. Yeah. But like that's why it's a lifelong passion for me. I keep up what's going on with my friends through books, through comics, through the movies.
Yeah.
As for why it's endured with other people, I can't really say.
So moments ago, we just mentioned that Star Wars is turning 40, has turned 40. Shore Leave is turning 40 next year. What makes you come back to this convention year after year after year?
Pretty much what I said before. This is no longer just a science fiction convention. This is like an annual party with a bunch of my friends. To come back, see what they're doing, see what they can show me, what they found out about the genres and passions they follow, just to catch up with people. This is more like a family reunion once a year.
Absolutely. One last question. What do you hope for the 40th anniversary of Shore Leave and the 25th anniversary of Farpoint, also in 2018?
I think there's going to be more of an historical perspective at all of the conventions. Like, I could see as an example them having several history of the convention panels. Here's what we did at the first convention. Here's what we're doing at conventions now. Oh my gosh, look how we've grown, look how many other people are involved, look how many lives we've touched over the years and how that built. I think we're going to be looking back as well as forward more next year at both of those conventions.
Absolutely. Actually, I do have one more last question. For the fan who has not attended a sci-fi convention yet, what's one piece of advice you can give them to prep for their very first convention?
I'm going to tell them 3 things.
All right, 3 things. What are 3 things?
Bring more food than you think you'll need.
All right.
Bring more money than you'll think you'll spend.
Yep.
And wherever you can, whenever you can, get some sleep, because you're always going to be short during the whole convention.
TA, it's great having you here.
Dean, always a pleasure.
Awesome. And we'll see you in 2018.
Absolutely.
Awesome.